The top stories tonight in Y News. Fuel companies announce another big oil price increase tomorrow following last week's rate hike.
The Commission on Election will no longer hold live town hall debates, but instead will adopt a panel interview with presidential and vice presidential bets.
The Department of Health has started the administration of a second booster of COVID-19 vaccines targeting 13,000 immunocompromised individuals for 3 months.
French President Emmanuel Macron is set to begin efforts to unite a deeply divided nation after winning re-election on Sunday in a historic battle against rival Marine Le Pen.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Monday, the 25th of April, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am Elsie Marcos.
First in the news. Motorists are advised to gas up tonight as oil companies will implement a big-time oil price hike again tomorrow morning, April 26. In separate advisories, Shell, Clean Fuel, Sea Oil, Metro Oil, Caltex, PTT, and Jetty will increase their gasoline cost by 3 pesos per liter and diesel price by 4 pesos and 10 centavos per liter. The firms offering kerosene will also swell its price by 3 pesos and 50 centavos per liter. According to the Department of Energy, or DOT, the ongoing Ukraine-Russia conflict and the easing of COVID-19 restrictions in China contributed to the rise in crude prices.
The Energy Department says oil price increases due to production cut of exporters. Meanwhile, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board confirms that resumption of the disbursement of fuel subsidy. Ashel Cadapan Jr. reports why.
Several members of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, have not been sending out oil products abroad, nor have been increasing its production. This results to high demand and low supply, significantly affecting the prices of petroleum products. The Department of Energy explains this as prices of fuel increase anew after a few days of rollback.
Yung Ukraine war, isa sa mga rason kung bakit nagkaroon ng cut ng production at nadagdagan pa ng problema ngayon dahil sa politika sa Libya. Nagkaroon sila ng cut ng production at ginagamit nila ito to pressure resignation ng mga opisyal nila.
The DOE, however, is optimistic that the prices will go down next week based on their data.
Ang indikasyon natin ngayon doon sa average for last week, compared sa pumatak na daily trading for today, Monday, this is Monday to Friday, bahagyang bumaba. So kung tuloy-tuloy itong ganitong indikasyon na ang fluctuation is bumaba ng Monday, kung tuloy na bumaba hanggang Friday, pag in-average mo, may mararanasan tayo na pagbaba.
However, some public utility jeepney drivers complain of the new oil price hike and appeal for government's aid.
Panibagong dagok na naman sa amin to. Sa ngayon nga, naglibre sa kayo yung mga modern jeep, wala na kami makuha ng pasahero. Lalo na bukas, magkataas pang diesel. Paano kami mamamatay? Taka yung fuel subsidy hanggang ngayon, hindi man binibigay. Yung second tranche, pangako nila, April bibigay.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, on the other hand, confirms that the Land Bank of the Philippines has already started crediting the financial accounts of beneficiaries of the fuel subsidy program. The LTFRB earlier said that the processes involving the disbursement of the second tranche of 2.5 billion peso fuel aid should immediately follow. Asher Cadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Agriculture, or DA, is urging the Department of Justice to expedite the process of prosecuting those involved in smuggling of agricultural products in the Philippines. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
To discourage the entry of smuggled agricultural products in the Philippines, the Department of Agriculture is asking the Department of Justice to hasten its process of prosecuting agricultural smugglers in the country. This after 4 alleged food smugglers were identified in a Senate probe.
Kami po gusto namin na maging mabilis sana yung proseso para mabigyan natin ng example at ma-discourage natin to kasi talagang malaki nawawala sa kaban ng bayan at mas matindi nga yung impact dun sa ating mga magsasaka kasi nagko-compete dun sa mga local products natin.
Agriculture Undersecretary Adriano said they are in close coordination with the DOJ regarding those allegedly involved in the proliferation of smuggled agricultural products. Agriculture Secretary William Dar also has already formed a group to investigate their own personnel allegedly involved in smuggling.
Tinitignan po namin kung mayroong sangkot ng mga tao at malalaman po namin yan sa madaling panahon para malaman natin tutunton sa pamamagitan ng investigasyon na to na binuo ng ating kalihim na si Willie Dar.
Those proven involved in agricultural smuggling are guilty of economic sabotage. Meanwhile, the House Ways and Means Committee has already pledged its support for any budget and policy requests to bolster the efforts of the Department of Agriculture to fight the rampant smuggling of agricultural products. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, tourism authorities have prohibited individuals from bringing, cooking, and serving pork-related food in Mount Apo. Lalaine Moreno will tell us why.
To avoid the spread of the African swine fever virus to the Philippine warty pigs living in Mount Apu, the Santa Cruz Investment Promotions and Tourism Office prohibits all climbers, guides, and porters from bringing pork-related products within the Mount Apu Natural Park.
Atong ginabawalan ang mga climbers, ang mga mountaineers, mga mountain guides, mga porters na dili sa pagdala og ang ilang sutan dito kung pwede lang dito sa manok, sa isda, sa beef, sa gulay. Ato lang sa i-exclude atong likayan lang sa pagdala og pork.
Recently, DNR Davao confirmed a sighting of the Philippine warty pig locally known as Baboy Ramo at the Natural Park. Warty pigs are considered as vulnerable species due to its decreasing population. Authorities fear that the pigs might eat the leftover food from truckers and might acquire African swine fever virus.
Kabalo naman taon sa ka-detrimental ang ASF, no? Kung makakontaminate siya isa ka baboy mo, takdan gyud ang tiguok population.
Meanwhile, the Santa Cruz Tourism announced that Mount Apo will be closed to trekkers in June for its 3-month rehabilitation. Lalaine Moreno, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, 4 local government units have started administering second COVID-19 booster shots for immunocompromised adults. According to the Department of Health, the second booster dose rollout will be a big challenge to the COVID-19 vaccination program. Aiko Miguel will tell us why live. Yes, Aiko, good evening. Go ahead.
Yes, William, good evening. Of 690,000 people deemed most vulnerable, between 7,000 and 13,000 have been initially targeted for the second round of boosters to increase protection against COVID-19 and its variants. The rollout of second booster dose has started in Quezon City, Caloocan City, Valenzuela City, and Makati City. LGUs will take the lead in gradually expanding the rollout. However, William, the DOH National Capital Region, said the second booster rollout is a big challenge in the government's COVID-19 vaccination program.
It's dependent on the first one, on the coverage for the booster one. So, all out pa rin po ang implementasyon ng mga strategies to encourage vaccinees to have their booster doses at pinapalapit po natin ang bakuna sa kanila. Yes, it's still a big challenge.
However, William, the DOH said it is timely to administer second booster shots for the high-risk population.
that fact doesn't change that you have waning immunity 6 to 8 months after your last dose. We're protecting them more because they will be more at risk of adverse or hospitalization and deaths.
One of the venue rollout took place in the Philippine Children's Medical Center in Quezon City. The vaccination hub is open for walk-ins and for residents outside QC.
Bubuksan namin ito sa mga kamag-anak ng aming mga healthcare workers na merong immunocompromising conditions na nakalista doon sa memo ng DOH. Pwede rin naming buksan sa publiko na may mga ganong kondisyon.
Healthcare workers and employees who are immunocompromised were the first recipients of the second booster dose. Dr. Soraya, a pediatrician who's afraid of needles, took courage to get her second booster dose.
Tinitiis ko na lang yung sakit at takot, pero mas iniintindi ko yung protection na may bibigay. So ako, immunocompromised. Bago ako, kahit doktor na ako, nagpatingin ako sa doktor ko talaga, humingi ako ng clearance, medical clearance ang tinatawag namin doon. At pinaliwanag din niya sa akin na kahit na immunocompromised ako, mas maganda na may protection kaysa sa wala.
A clerk of the pharmacy division and also a breast cancer survivor, Rona Samonte, got her second booster dose. She said getting inoculated gives her assurance and safety against COVID-19 while working in a hospital's pharmacy.
Boost po yung immune system ko. Nadagdagan pa dahil nga sa vaccine. So kailangan talaga nating magpabakuna. Dahil malaking tulong din to sa atin.
Andreo, a clerk in nursing services who is diabetic, also grabbed the chance to get his second booster to be more protected against COVID-19.
Maraming mga akong kasama na namatay dito na dati, wala pang injection. Kaya pag may dito, nagpapa-injection kasi ako. Hindi pa ako nagkaroon ng COVID. Sa mga hindi pa nagbabakuna na may mga comorbidities, kung bakuna po kayo kasi malaki pong tulong sa buhay ninyo ito.
William, COVID-19 vaccine brands approved a second booster dose in the Philippines are AstraZeneca, Moderna, Pfizer, Sinovac, and Sinopharm. And that is the latest live. Back to you, Willie.
Yes, thank you, Aiko Miguel, reporting live from Quezon City.
Meanwhile, several hospitals started administering second COVID-19 vaccine booster shots to healthcare workers even without comorbidities. Denise Inhente will tell us why.
Over 80 health workers with no pre-existing medical conditions received their second booster dose of COVID-19 vaccine in Dr. Jose N. Rodriguez Memorial Hospital or Tala Hospital. This is despite the first announcement by the Department of Health that only immunocompromised individuals will be given the second booster jab. According to Dr. Victorino Famaran, Medical Director of Tala Hospital, they decided to include their employees without health problems to avoid vaccine wastage.
Kasi sa area na to, ang numbers ng immunocompromised ko konti lang. So maraming vaccines ang binigay, so we have no choice but to extend the vaccination to non-immunocompromised population para hindi lang masayang yung vaccines.
Dr. Aleli Sudiacal of DOH-NCR clarified that hospital employees will still be allowed to receive the second booster as part of the priority groups.
So it's just a matter of prioritization. So wala namang big error or blunder on that. They are still priority. Kasi sayang ang panahon eh.
Tala Hospital health workers took advantage of the opportunity to receive a second booster jab for additional protection against COVID-19.
Sa ngayon kasi I also taking care of yung father ko kasi na immunocompromised, nasa bahay lang kasi. So at least protection din para sa kanya. For protection, so minabuti ko na magpa second booster na.
Oh yes, of course, safety of course sa family natin, and yun nga, hindi natin alam kung kailan yung next scheduling, and of course marami tayong patients ngayon na accommodate sa hospital, so kung may opportunity, let's grab it.
A total of 90 health workers with or without health condition were given their second booster shot at Itala Hospital. Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, an economist believes that strengthening the healthcare system in the Philippines should be among the top priority of the next administration. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
The increased investment on the healthcare system is the primary factor that is helping buoy the Philippine economy from the pandemic. According to Michael Ricafort, Chief Economist of the Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation, strengthening the healthcare system should be a priority of the next administration.
Those are structural, part of the structural reforms also. Learning from the experience from the pandemic over the past 2 years to make everything sustainable, especially because if you have a healthcare system that's capable and that's strong, so that would also support further reopening of the economy.
On March 21, President Rodrigo Duterte signed Executive Order Number 166, which aims to adopt the 10-point policy agenda of the administration to hasten and sustain the country's economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. These include strengthening the healthcare capacity as well as accelerate and expand the vaccination program. According to Ricafort, aside from focusing on the pandemic response, the government should also continue the infrastructure projects or the Build program.
Because the increased infrastructure spending is one of the pillars of the economic recovery program from the pandemic, as it would create more jobs, it would create more business and economic opportunities around the country.
From 2017 to 2019, the infra budget was 6% or 932 billion pesos. In 2020, the allocation for the Build program was 4.6% of the gross domestic product or equivalent to 972.5 billion pesos. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
More 30,000 personnel of the Philippine National Police are expected to participate in the local absentee voting for the 2022 elections for 3 days. Leia Ilagan has this story.
A total of 26,812 cops assigned in police regional offices and 3,248 cops assigned to the national headquarters in Camp Crame will avail the local absentee voting or LAV on April 27, 28, and 29. PNP spokesperson Police Colonel Jean Fajardo said voters may proceed to assigned venues from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m.
Yung mga areas kung saan po sila boboto ay doon po sa mga provincial police office kung saan po nakakasakop yung kanilang assignment.
The manner of voting for LAV is manual where voters have to write down the names of their candidates on the official ballot. After casting their votes, the PNP will begin the deployment of its personnel for the 2022 elections.
Ang instruction po ng ating Chief PNP ay at least 1 week before po ng election proper sa May 9 po ay i-deploy na po ang mga police, particularly those assigned sa national headquarters at regional headquarters.
PNP Chief Police General Junardo Carlos said 40,000 policemen will be deployed and boost the security operations.
Pero dadagdagan pa namin yan this week and next week. Yung aming pong mga admin personnel na hindi mag-a-avail ng absentee voting this April 27, 28, 29 for deployment naman sila sa kung saan sila butante.
General Carlos said they are closely monitoring the ground in any eventualities that may occur prior to Election Day. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, a number of voters complained to have deactivated status in the online precinct finder of the Commission on Elections, or Comelec. The poll body clarifies the basis of deactivation, which they say voters probably did not recognize. JP Nunez reports.
The Commission on Elections opens an online website where voters can find their polling place and precinct number early before the election on May 9. The poll body continues to receive reports that some of voters' status on the online precinct finder were deactivated while others have no result of their registration.
Regular naman po ako nakakaboto ng mga nakaraang botohan. Tapos bigla ngayon, nung may mga lumabas na ganito, biglang mawawala na yung pangalan ko, no founder na. Kung makita ko doon, di boboto ako. Kung wala, irereklamo ko rin yun. Bakit ako wala sa regular voters naman ako.
XOFW, umuwi ako year 2019. So hindi ko na alam kung saan yung presinto ko. So ngayon, since nilabas ng Comelec yun, hinanap ko siya through online. Then upon checking dun sa lumabas na result, deactivated na daw yung status ko. So hindi na daw ako pwedeng makaboto ngayong May 9. So kaya talagang nadismaya ako.
Commissioner George Garcia explains that many voters might have not recognized their failure to vote for 2 consecutive official voting period, which includes the 2018 and 2019 elections.
Ang nagiging problema, paano yung mga botante na ang nakalagay doon deactivated? Yan po yung sinasabi natin. Ang dami mga botante na nakalimutan nila na hindi pala sila nakaboto ng dalawang magkasunod na eleksyon. 2018, 2019, hindi po kayo nakaboto, tanggal ang pangalan nyo, deactivated po kayo. Sorry na lang, sa sunod na lang po yung pagboto at makapagparehistro muli, makapag-reactivate mga July.
2 weeks before the election, the online precinct finder is now available for the voters. It can be accessed through the website voterverifier.comelec.gov.ph. Voters just need to fill out an online form with their complete name and place of registration. If the credentials are complete, the website will prompt the voter's polling place and precinct number. The Commission advises the public to coordinate with their local Comelec offices if there is a need to fix from their record on the online precinct finder. Local Comelec offices have the actual records who really voted in the previous elections. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Commission on Elections will adopt a single candidate or team panel interview instead of the town hall presidential and vice presidential debates. Meanwhile, Commissioner Ray Bulay denies the allegation that he threatened the critics of the commission. Dante Amento tells us why.
In an advisory released by the Commission on Elections today, the poll body explains that due to the inevitable conflicts on the schedule of the candidates, the Commission decided to adopt a single candidate or team panel interview for all the presidential and vice presidential candidates instead of town hall debates format. This will be a pre-recorded interview for the so-called Comelec KBP Pilipinas Forum 2022. Comelec will be partnering with the Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas or KBP this time. Commissioner George Erwin Garcia says they will allow single or tandem interview. The panel interview can be face-to-face or virtual, and it will be aired on May 2 until 6, 2022 or 3 days before the election. The candidates can choose where to conduct the interview. Garcia added they will release the full guidelines tomorrow. Meanwhile, Commissioner Ray Bulay denies reports that he threatened the critics of the Commission. Bulay clarifies that he is only warning the public, especially those who will induce violence over the result of the election. He said that he wants to remind the public to refrain from making unnecessary comments that can affect the electoral process.
And so I am actually warning people to obey the laws kung sakaling hindi nila alam. Nowhere in the whole video did I ever mention the word threat and critic.
Commissioner Garcia, on the other hand, disclosed that they respect Commissioner Bulay's position.
We highly respect and we have to understand where Commissioner Bulay is coming from. Maybe talagang sa sobrang dami na rin po ng mga tumutuligsa o yung sa mga fake news na kumakalat. Kaya po niya nasabi yung...
The Comelec explains that they welcome criticisms to improve their work, but they will not tolerate fake news which aims to undermine the whole electoral process. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Lacson-Soto tandem says the Commission on Elections made a good decision to scrap the town hall debates and change it to one-hour panel interviews. However, the team says airing the forum should be unedited. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why.
Presidential candidate Senator Ping Lacson and Vice Presidential candidate Tito Soto III say they welcome the changes in the Commission on Elections forums. However, the airing should be unedited in order for the candidates to fully express their opinions and platforms regarding issues faced by the country. Lacson explains with edited airing of the panel interview, some statements might be omitted which will not favor any candidate.
Mahirap yung may editing eh. Walang control. Maya-maya mo yung mas magandang sinabi, yun ang na-edit. Pagkatapos yung hindi masyado maganda, yun ang na-i-air. So unfair. Kaya kami, mas gusto namin talaga live. If not live, at least tape as live. Within the hour din.
Dapat tape as live. Oh, tape nga, pero tape as live. Kasi it cuts both ways, yung sinasabi ni Senator Lacson. Pwede rin yung walang kakwenta-kwenta mga sinabi, editin nila.
For the panel interviews, each candidate will be given 1 hour to elaborate on their platforms if elected. The Lacson-Soto tandem expressed their readiness to participate if the interviews will be unedited.
Basta tape as live, walang editing, game kami.
Meanwhile, presidential candidate Isko Moreno is also open to the new format set by Comelec. He also expressed preparedness to participate in the forum, especially if it can provide him a platform to lay out his plans if elected president.
Nag-a-apply ako sa trabaho. Ang nag-a-apply sa trabaho, hindi naman namimili kung paano siya i-interviewin ng kanyang future employer, which is in this case, taong bayan. Di ba? So pag nag-a-apply ka ng trabaho, siyempre, sinasubmit mo ang sarili mo.
Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
With only 14 days away from the May 9 polls, independent candidate Vice President Leni Robredo goes back to Nueva Ecija, a known bailiwick of her closest rival, Bongbong Marcos. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
For the second time, presidential candidate and Vice President Leni Robredo goes back to Nueva Ecija, a province considered to be part of the so-called Solid North. The Robredo ticket first campaigned in the province last March 22. According to Robredo, this time she wanted to hear the representatives of various sectors firsthand. The Vice President first attended a multi-sectoral assembly in Muñoz, where she was endorsed by Nueva Ecija 1st District Representative Estrelita Swansing. She also attended another multi-sectoral assembly together with running mate Senator Francis Kiko Pangilinan at Finma Arroyo University in Cabanatuan City. There, representatives from various sectors got the chance to speak to Robredo about the challenges that their sectors are facing.
Tama-tama po namin ang rice tarification law. Konting-konti po ang mga kinikita na namin. Sana ma'am, pag kayo na ang nakaupo ma'am, sana ang aming tribong Aita na katutubo sa Pilipinas, wag naman po sana kami maliitin.
Kaming lahat na mamagsisibuyas, magsasaka sa Gabaldon, umaaray sa taas ng presyo ng abono at saka ng mga pamatay peste.
Ang pinapangako natin sa inyo, nasisiguraduhin natin na number one, yung security of tenure nyo sa tinitirhan, mapanatag na yung mga loob ninyo. Isa po ako sa mga authors nung tinatawag na National Land Use Act.
The independent candidate also hit the proliferation of fake news on social media about her plans for the maritime industry.
Ang daming fake news sa YouTube saka sa TikTok. Dahil kausap na natin, alam nyo naman to sir, di ba? Kausap na natin yung mga industry leaders, pinag-uusapan na po natin, paano ba natin mamamaximize yung maritime industry?
The Lenny Kiko tandem also met with their supporter volunteers in Cabiao town. In the 2016 vice presidential race, Robredo lost to Bongbong Marcos in Nueva Ecija by over 325,000 votes. The Lenny Kiko team will be visiting again the province of Occidental Mindoro tomorrow. Jorlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Emmanuel Macron has won re-election, making him the first French president to do so in 20 years. Maybe Andog will give us the details live. Yes, Mabe, good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, William. Emmanuel Macron won with 58.5% of the votes, compared to Marine Le Pen's 41.5%, making him win his second presidential term on Sunday. French President Emmanuel Macron promised to reunite the divided country and to dedicate his next 5 years to restore full employment, increased EU defense project, and closer collaboration on immigration. Meanwhile, Le Pen admitted defeat but celebrated after winning more than 12 million votes, a record high in a presidential election for the nationalist far right. Le Pen campaigned on the cost of living crisis, a ban on the Muslim headscarf in public places, and giving priority to native French people over others for jobs, housing, and healthcare benefits, which Macron criticized as racist and divisive. Macron's win gave relief to his allies, as his re-election will not pose an abrupt shift in course from the European Union and NATO's efforts in the midst of the Russia and Ukraine conflict. William?
Yes, Mabe, and what is the public's reaction to President Macron's re-election?
William, while the European leaders welcomed Macron's win, several hundred demonstrators who followed the campaign of Le Pen were against his re-election. Police had to disperse these gatherings in some French cities. He was tagged as a president of the rich, to which he had tried to shake off during his final 2 weeks of campaigning. Back to you, William.
Yes, thank you very much. Maybe Andog reporting live.
Top U.S. officials met with the Ukrainian president in the country's war-torn capital, the highest-level visit since Russia's invasion started 2 months ago. Marvy Delfin will give us the details live. Go ahead, Marvy.
Ukraine's presidential advisor Alexei Arestovich confirmed that U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin made talks with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv last night. This comes after Ukraine pressed U.S. and its allies to send more powerful weapons to defend the Donbas region in eastern Ukraine, where Russian troops are seeking to gain full control of the besieged port of Mariupol. Ahead of the visit, Zelensky praised the acceleration of weapon shipments that could help Ukraine step up its counteroffensive, but emphasized that the U.S. envoy should produce results, both in arms and security guarantees. Also on Sunday, Ukraine proposed a special round of negotiations with Russia for the establishment of multi-day humanitarian corridors and freeing or swapping of Ukrainian fighters trapped in Mariupol's Azovstal steel plant. In his nightly address, Zelensky reported that Russia launched another missile strike at Odessa, killing 8 people and at least 18 wounded.
Добитих 3-місячна дитинка, дівчинка. Чим вона загрожувала Росії? Схоже, що вбивати дітей – це просто нова національна ідея Російської Федерації. Удар був нанесений російською стратегічною авіацією з району Каспійського моря. 2 ракети нам вдалося збити, ще 5 ракет ударили по мирному місту, в тому числі по звичайному житловому будинку, по звичайній багатоповерхівці.
Zelensky also stressed the need to evacuate civilians in a call with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who is scheduled to speak later with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, while UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is expected to travel to Turkey and then Moscow and Kyiv. Elsie?
Thank you, Marvin Delphine, for that live report.
"2022 marked the first time that many have been able to return to full capacity services since the pandemic. After 2 years of COVID restrictions, rain, drizzle, and chilly pre-dawn conditions didn't stop thousands of Australian and New Zealanders from turning out to dawn services to commemorate Anzac Day. Huge crowds were drawn to cenopaths in different states of Australia and New Zealand to remember the sacrifice Australia and New Zealand's military personnel have made in defense of the nation. The solemnity of Anzac Day was not lost on the nation's politicians, who put party lines to rest during the federal election campaign to attend dawn services to remember those lost in military action at Gallipoli in the First World War.
As the pharmaceutical company Shionogi progresses through clinical trials for their oral COVID-19 treatment, clinical trials for the pill may soon begin in the United States, where Yuji Sasaki will give us the details live. Yes, Ryuji?
Elsie, discussions regarding the U.S. government to supply and produce the antiviral pill in the U.S. have begun. Once approved, this would become Japan's first oral treatment to combat COVID-19 to be developed in the country. On Sunday, the company released their findings from their Phase 2B clinical trials, revealing that amongst COVID-19 patients who took the antiviral pill, the concentration of the virus in their bodies decreased by 90%. However, across all 12 COVID-19 symptoms, the effectiveness of the antiviral pill remains insignificant in reducing symptom severity, according to Shionogi. The company is also waiting for the approval from the Japanese Health Ministry, as they have already signed an agreement to produce pills enough for 1 million people. However, the approval relies heavily on symptom improvement. Meanwhile, as they proceed to Phase 3 of clinical trials, Shionogi's Chief Executive Officer Isao Teshirogi hopes to make the antiviral pill available worldwide as the results show effectiveness. Elsie?
Ryuji, aside from the antiviral pill, does Shionogi have developed other forms of COVID-19 treatments?
Yes, Elsie. Shionogi have actually developed a vaccine for COVID-19, but they are still in the process of clinical trials. The trials, which were conducted among 3,000 participants, have shown pleasing results as COVID-19 antibodies were neutralized after vaccinations. Back to you, Elsie.
Thank you, Ryuji Sasaki, reporting live from Japan.
Our Kasangbahay. As the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity from Monday to Friday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time through the social media accounts of Members Church of God International.
Before we close, we will leave you with a word giving glory to God. From the book of Proverbs, chapter 10, verse 21, it says, "The lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for want of wisdom." And those are the reasons behind the news April 25, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Elsie Marcos, reporting live from Auckland, New Zealand.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.